Today's story takes us to a small, fog-covered town in northern Norway, the kind of place where the sun barely touches the hills in winter and silence feels almost alive. For most people, Haverden is just another quiet dot on the map, a fishing town surrounded by birch forests and forgotten mines. But for 19-year-old Elena Voss, it was home. This town sits at the edge of a fjord, surrounded by birch forests and hills that look like they've been asleep for centuries. Back in the 1950s, Haverden's economy was built on their fluorite mines, a mineral used in lenses and glassmaking. The work was dangerous, the hours long, and the tunnels were unstable. One winter night, the mine collapsed after an explosion deep underground. 18 workers were trapped. Only 5 bodies were ever recovered. The company sealed the tunnels, declared the hill unsafe, and left. Decades later, Elena had grown up here, quiet, creative, a little strange by small-town standards. She'd left to study photography in Oslo, but every summer she came back. Said she missed the air, the light, the way the fog made everything look like an old photograph. Her friends joked that she could find beauty in anything. One day, Elena set up her tripod near the top of Birch Hill. She aimed her lens, focused on the fog, and waited. When her flash went off, she caught something strange. Tall, faint silhouette standing in the mist. But when she lowered the camera, the field was empty. Elena couldn't make sense of this. She repeatedly looked down at her camera and up at the field, trying to piece things together. She felt the hairs at the back of her neck stand and quickly collected her equipment and got out of there as fast as she possibly could. The next morning, she decided to visit her favorite cafe in town as a means to try get her mind off of what her photos showed. Next to her, an old man sat with his latte and a newspaper, quietly minding his business. Out of pure interest, Elena asked the man if he was familiar with the history of this town. He nodded and explained to her that he used to be a miner during his youth. Elena's heart started to beat fast. She hesitated a bit, not really knowing what to say next, until finally pulling out her camera and showing the man the photos she took the day before. He squinted at the images, his wrinkled hands trembling slightly. "They used to dig under that hill," he said. "Back when the mines were open. My father said they found tunnels that weren't on any map." He looked out the window toward the fog curling around the tree line. "You can still hear them," he murmured. "If you stand still long enough, you'll hear them tapping." That night, Elena returned to Birch Hill with her camera and a flashlight. She walked slowly. The ground shimmered faintly, tiny circles of light pulsing like fireflies beneath the soil. She knelt, the dirt felt warm, and then she saw them. Footprints. Bare, small, and glowing, leading deeper into the mist. They led toward the far end of the clearing. There, half buried in the dirt, was a rusted iron trapdoor. She hesitated and then opened it. A gust of cold air rushed out. She took a photo mountain. The flash illuminated a warning sign, almost erased by moss. "Property of Haverden Mining Company. Do not enter." Her camera lens caught a faint reflection deeper in the dark. A row of old work lamps flickering on one by one. But there was no sound, no generator, no one there to turn them on. Elena returned home that night pale and silent. While developing film, she notices something the locals refuse to acknowledge. Pale blue lights dancing beneath the scarred face of Birch Hill, pulsing in patterns too deliberate to be natural. The lights appear in her photographs as perfect spheres, each one containing what looks like a spiral of even brighter light at its center, like the heart of a star. Through her camera lens, she sees what others won't or can't. The lights move like Morse code, like language, like the desperate tapping of fingers against stone. Patterns that repeat, evolve, respond to her presence. When she focuses her lens, she can almost make out shapes within the lights. The suggestion of hands, of faces, of mouths, open in eternal speech or scream. It scared her. Elena found Marin sitting outside the cafe. She asked him if he'd ever heard of lights in the tunnels. Marin tried hard to avoid eye contact with her, but soon caved. We weren't supposed to talk about it. Back then, the company was testing some kind of project. Said it'd change the world forever. He took a slow sip of his coffee, staring out at the fog. They said it was clean. But after the collapse, the officials came and took every file, every lamp, every name off the records. Told us the gas was unstable. Said it could trap air and glass. Marin continued to explain how some of the workers tried reaching out to local newspapers and media houses, but all attempts were met with silence and intimidation by company. Elena couldn't find the words to express her shock. She didn't understand why no one else in this town had ever mentioned this crucial part to a devastating phenomenon that's given identity to the town. She had gone inspecting at the town archives and spent hours searching. In a folder marked 1954 Incident Report, there was a page that had been deliberately torn and taped back together. It mentioned a sealed laboratory built under the mine, where engineers had been testing fluorescent gas lighting, a prototype system that used chemical vapors to glow even without electricity. But the report ended abruptly with one final note written in pencil. Containment failed. Gas unstable. Do not reopen the site. That's all Elena thought about late at night. She felt that to fully understand everything, she had to return to the same mine and look closer. Elena hiked back to Birch Hill, camera in hand, determined to document everything, but she never came back. A week later, search teams found her camera at the edge of the hill. The files were corrupted, but 23 photos survived. At first, the frames showed only fog. Then, the same glowing lines forming patterns, geometric and deliberate. When investigators followed the pattern on foot, it led to a sealed ventilation shaft, the one closed in 1954. Inside, their flashlights caught rows of glass cylinders built into the rock. According to long-lost company records, these were part of an experiment called Project Solglint, a self-sustaining light system using pressurized fluorite gas to produce illumination without electricity. But the project failed. When moisture entered the system, the gas became unstable, creating toxic vapor that crystallized organic material on contact. When the explosion hit, that gas spread through the tunnels. The miners never escaped. They were encased in the mineral, preserved where they fell, their forms faintly glowing for decades beneath the hill. Elena's final image, a blurry, overexposed, shows her reflection against one of those glowing walls. And behind her, just visible in the fog, a human silhouette reaching toward her. No one knows what happened after that. The mine was resealed and fenced off. But locals say that when the fog drifts in and the air hums like an old machine, you can still see faint green light beneath the birch trees, pulsing slowly like the heartbeat of a story that refuses to stay buried. Some people in Haverden believe it's just gas reacting to moisture. It's a natural phenomenon. Others say it's the miners still working below, their lanterns trapped in the dark forever. No one goes up Birch Hill anymore, but when the fog rolls in and the air hums faintly, some say you can still see the lights moving through the ground, flickering in perfect rhythm like a heart that refuses to die.